The massive council chamber buzzed with angry voices from dozens of different alien species. Representatives from across the galaxy had gathered for one purpose: to solve the human problem once and for all. Commander Zexhai of the Altarian Collective stood at the central podium, his blue skin shimmering under the chamber lights. His forearms gestured dramatically as he spoke to the assembled delegates. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Zexhai announced, his voice carrying through the translation devices. "We have tried everything. Trade sanctions, diplomatic isolation, even military blockades. Nothing works with these humans." A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. The Vraxian delegate clicked his mandibles in frustration. "They punched their way out of our embargo. Who does that? Who solves a trade dispute with violence? And they keep expanding," added the crystalline Zephyrian representative, her voice tinkling like broken glass. "Every world they touch becomes more chaotic. They turn peaceful mining operations into competitions. They make pets out of predators. They eat food that would kill most species." Zexhai nodded gravely. "This is why we must act. Humanity has proven they cannot coexist peacefully with civilized species. They are too aggressive, too unpredictable, too human." The chamber fell silent as Zexhai activated the holographic display. A planet appeared in the center of the room, a swirling mass of browns, grays, and angry reds. "I present to you Kepler 438c, Zexhai announced, a Class X death world located in the outer rim. Surface temperatures range from -200 degrees to over 400 degrees in a single-day cycle. Atmospheric storms carry winds that can strip metal from starship hulls. The gravity is 3 times that of Earth." The Mantari delegate raised a tentacle. "What about the indigenous life forms?" Zexhai's expression darkened. "The planet hosts some of the most dangerous creatures known to science. 6-limbed predators we call hellhounds. They spit acid strong enough to melt through battle armor. Their pack-hunting strategies are more sophisticated than most military tactics." "And you propose to send the humans there?" asked the Corvin representative, his scaled head tilting in curiosity. "Exactly," Zexhai replied. "We relocate the entire human population to Kepler 438c. Either they learn to become peaceful and request rescue, or the planet solves our problem permanently. Our scientists estimate they will last perhaps 6 months before the environment eliminates them." The vote was unanimous. Every species in the galaxy agreed. Humanity needed to be removed from civilized space. 3 weeks later, Zexhai found himself aboard the command ship overseeing the largest forced relocation in galactic history. Hundreds of transport vessels carrying human colonists from dozens of worlds converged on Kepler 438c. The humans seemed confused but not particularly worried. Zexhai watched through the observation deck as families loaded their belongings onto the transports. Children played games while adults organized supplies. They treated the forced exile like some kind of camping trip. "Commander," his aide approached nervously. "The human delegation requests another meeting." Dr. Sarah Chen entered the command chamber with 2 other humans. She was a small woman with graying hair and intelligent eyes. Before the exile, she had been a university professor specializing in environmental adaptation. "Commander Zexhai," Dr. Chen said politely, "we still don't understand why you're doing this. If there was a problem, we could have talked about it." Zexhai's forearms crossed in front of his chest. "Talking is precisely the problem, Dr. Chen. Humans do not talk. You argue, fight, and force your way through every situation. You cannot coexist peacefully with other species." Dr. Chen frowned. "That's not fair. We've had some misunderstandings, sure, but nothing that couldn't be worked out." "Misunderstandings?" Zexhai's voice rose. "Your merchants started a fistfight with Vraxian trade officials. Your colonists turned a sacred Mantari meditation site into a sports arena. Your children keep trying to adopt dangerous predators as pets." "Okay, those weren't our best moments," Dr. Chen admitted. "But exile seems extreme. Couldn't we just have some kind of probation period?" Zexhai shook his head. "The decision is final. Kepler 438c will be your new home. Perhaps the harsh environment will teach your species some humility." Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "What's this planet like?" "Just so we know what to expect." Zexhai smiled coldly. "Imagine the worst environment possible, then make it worse. Deadly storms, extreme temperatures, poisonous atmosphere, and predators that make your Earth's dinosaurs look like pets. Most species wouldn't survive a single day there." "Huh," Dr. Chen said thoughtfully. "Sounds like a challenge." That response bothered Zexhai more than he cared to admit. Most species would have begged for mercy or broken down in tears. The humans just looked interested. The relocation took 2 months. 50,000 humans were deposited on the surface of Kepler 438c, with basic survival equipment and prefabricated shelters. HFY personally delivered the final message to the human settlements. People of Earth, his voice broadcast across the temporary camps. You have been given this world to learn the value of peaceful coexistence. When you have demonstrated that your species can live without conflict and aggression, you may petition the Galactic Council for rescue. Until then, this is your home. The response from the human camps was immediate and unexpected. Instead of panic or despair, the communication channels filled with excited chatter. Did you see those storm formations? The atmospheric pressure differential could generate incredible energy. Look at these soil samples. The mineral content is amazing. Has anyone else noticed the indigenous wildlife? Those 6-limbed creatures have fascinating pack behaviors. HFY cut the communication feed, disturbed by the humans' enthusiasm. They were supposed to be terrified, not taking notes. As the last Galactic Council ships departed Kepler 438c, HFY stood in his command chamber reviewing the mission reports. Everything had gone according to plan. The humans were stranded on a death world with minimal supplies and no way to escape. The galaxy would finally know peace. His aide approached with the final status report. Commander, all human settlements have been established. Atmospheric monitoring shows the first major storm system will hit their locations within 48 hours. Good, HFY replied. Begin the waiting period. Monitor their distress signals, but do not respond unless they formally surrender and request rescue under the terms of the relocation agreement. Sir, what if they don't send distress signals? HFY laughed, a sound like grinding metal. They will. No species can survive on Kepler 438c for more than a few weeks. The humans will learn humility, or they will learn mortality. Either outcome serves our purposes. The command ship entered hyperspace, leaving the humans alone on their new world. In the cargo bay, sealed containers held monitoring equipment that would record the human colony's inevitable collapse. HFY planned to use the footage as an educational tool for other aggressive species. As the stars streaked past the observation windows, HFY felt satisfied. The human problem was solved. The galaxy was safe. In a few months, he would return to collect either surrendering survivors or evidence of extinction. He never considered a third possibility. Deep in the ship's database, an automated system noted an anomaly in the final surface scans of Kepler 438c. The thermal signatures from the human settlements showed unusual activity patterns. Instead of the expected panic and deterioration, the reading suggested organized construction and expansion. The system flagged the data as a sensor malfunction and filed it away. After all, what species could possibly thrive on a death world? 3 months had passed since the humans were dumped on Kepler 438c. Commander HFY sat in his office reviewing the monitoring reports, expecting to find desperate messages begging for rescue or confirmation of human extinction. Instead, he found complete silence. This makes no sense, HFY muttered, scrolling through the data feeds. Where are the distress signals? Where are the requests for evacuation? His aide, a nervous Plutonian named Krek, shifted uncomfortably. Sir, maybe the monitoring equipment failed. The planet's electromagnetic storms could have damaged the sensors. All of them? HFY's 4 eyes narrowed. Every single monitoring device we placed? The truth was more disturbing than equipment failure. The monitoring stations were working perfectly. They just had nothing to report. No distress calls, no emergency broadcasts, no signs of collapse. The human settlements had gone completely quiet. Sir? Krek ventured carefully. Perhaps they all died in the first month? The storms, the temperature changes, the predators? HFY considered this possibility. It would actually be preferable to the alternative, that the humans were somehow surviving without needing rescue. The entire point of the exile was to force them into submission or elimination. Send a reconnaissance probe, HFY ordered. I want visual confirmation of the human settlement's status. The probe launched immediately, making the journey to Kepler 438c in just 2 days. HFY gathered his senior staff in the observation chamber to review the footage together. They expected to see empty ruins, scattered bones, or at best a few desperate survivors huddled in failing shelters. What they saw instead violated everything they knew about survival and adaptation. The probe's cameras showed thriving human settlements spread across the planet's surface, but these weren't the prefabricated emergency shelters they had been given. The humans had built entire underground cities connected by a network of tunnels that seemed to follow the planet's natural thermal vents. "How is this possible?" whispered Dr. Vesera, the expedition's chief xenobiologist. "They've been there for 3 months. 3 months." The probe continued its scan, revealing more impossibilities. The deadly atmospheric storms that were supposed to strip flesh from bone were being used by humans as a transportation system. Small figures in improvised wingsuits rode the wind currents between settlements, surfing through the air like they were playing some kind of extreme sport. "They're using the storms for travel," Krek observed in disbelief. "No one travels through atmospheric storms. That's suicide." But it got worse. The probe's thermal imaging showed humans working in areas where the surface temperature reached 400 degrees. They wore crude suits that appeared to be made from local materials, moving around the hellish landscape like they were taking a casual walk. "What are those suits made of?" Dr. Vesara demanded. "No known material can protect organic life from those temperatures." The probe zoomed in on one of the work sites. Humans were mining something from the planet's surface, their heat-resistant suits gleaming in the thermal cameras. One of them removed his helmet, revealing a face that looked completely normal. No environmental damage, no signs of stress or starvation. "He took off his helmet," Zexhai said slowly. "In 400-degree heat. He took off his helmet and he's fine." The most disturbing footage came next. The probe detected movement near one of the underground entrances and focused its cameras on a group of humans returning from what appeared to be a hunting expedition. They were not alone. Walking beside them, wearing crude collars and harnesses, were 6 hellhounds. The massive acid-spitting predators that were supposed to eliminate the human problem were trotting alongside their former prey like oversized dogs. One of them dropped a dead creature at a human's feet and received a pat on the head in return. "Those are hellhounds," Dr. Vesara said faintly. "Class A predators. Untamable. Impossible to domesticate. They have acid for blood and hunt in coordinated packs. And they're wearing leashes," Krek added unnecessarily. The probe continued its survey, documenting impossibility after impossibility. Human children playing in areas that should have been lethal. Adults working together to construct elaborate machinery from salvaged materials and local resources. Gardens somehow growing in soil that was supposed to be completely barren. "This footage has to be fake," Zexhai declared. "They're trying to trick us. No species adapts this quickly. It takes thousands of years for evolutionary changes." Dr. Vesara was studying the biological readings from the probe. Her face had gone pale, which was impressive since her species was naturally blue. "Commander," she said quietly, "the atmospheric readings show increased oxygen levels around the human settlements. They're not just surviving the environment, they're changing it." "What do you mean changing it?" "The humans have built atmospheric processors. Crude ones, but functional. They're converting the toxic storm gases into breathable air. The areas around their settlements are becoming more habitable." Zexhai stared at the screen showing humans casually walking around what should have been a death world. "How long would it take our best terraforming teams to accomplish this?" "Decades," Dr. Vesara admitted. "Maybe centuries. And that's with advanced technology and unlimited resources." The probe's final transmission showed the most impossible sight of all. A group of human children playing with baby hellhounds in what appeared to be a nursery area. The young predators were rolling around like puppies while human toddlers giggled and threw toys for them to chase. "They've domesticated the offspring," Krek observed. "In 3 months, they've domesticated one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators." The transmission ended, leaving the command chamber in stunned silence. Every species in the galaxy had theories about what made humans dangerous. Their aggression, their unpredictability, their refusal to follow established protocols. But this was something else entirely. "Sir," Krek asked hesitantly, "what do we report to the Galactic Council?" Zexhai realized he was facing an impossible choice. He could report the truth, that humans had not only survived but were thriving on a death world that should have killed them in days. This would make humanity look incredibly dangerous and resourceful, the exact opposite of the humbled and defeated refugees they were supposed to become. Or he could claim the monitoring equipment had failed and hope the problem would somehow resolve itself. We report equipment malfunction, HFY decided. Technical difficulties prevented proper monitoring. We'll send another probe in 3 months. Dr. Vesara looked at him with concern. Sir, what if the situation continues to develop? What if the humans continue to adapt and improve their position? That's impossible, HFY said firmly. No species can make these kinds of changes in such a short time. This has to be some kind of fluke or temporary success. In 3 months, they'll be begging for rescue. But even as he said it, HFY felt a cold certainty growing in his stomach. The humans weren't going to beg for rescue. They weren't going to submit or be humbled by their exile. They were going to do something much worse. They were going to succeed. As the reconnaissance probe's data was filed away under equipment malfunction, automated systems throughout the galaxy continued their routine monitoring. Long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures from Kepler 438c. Atmospheric analyzers noted changes in the planet's chemical composition. Deep space communication arrays picked up strange transmissions that didn't match any known protocols. All of these anomalies were automatically categorized as sensor drift or data corruption and filed away. After all, nothing interesting ever happened on Class X death worlds. The galaxy continued its normal operations, blissfully unaware that 50,000 humans were about to rewrite the rules of survival. 1 year had passed since the human exile began. Commander HFY had successfully convinced the Galactic Council that monitoring equipment failures were preventing proper observation of Kepler 438c. He had hoped that by now, the human problem would have solved itself through natural extinction. His hopes were shattered on a Tuesday morning when his aide Krek burst into his office carrying a datapad with shaking hands. Sir, you need to see this immediately, Krek stammered. The deep space monitoring stations have detected massive energy signatures from Kepler 438c. HFY snatched the datapad, expecting to see evidence of some natural disaster that had finally eliminated the humans. Instead, he found readings that made no sense at all. These numbers can't be correct, he said, studying the energy output measurements. According to this data, the humans are generating more power than some of our industrial worlds. Sir, that's not the worst part, Krek continued. Show me the commercial broadcasting frequencies. HFY switched to the communication analysis and nearly dropped the datapad. Dozens of signals were being broadcast from Kepler 438c on standard galactic trade frequencies. The signals were clear, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Greetings, galactic traders, announced a cheerful human voice. This is Hellworld Industries broadcasting from scenic Kepler 438c. Are you tired of failed colonization attempts on hostile worlds? Do extreme environments keep destroying your expensive equipment? Well, have we got the solution for you? The advertisement continued with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for carnival barkers. Our experienced team of environmental adaptation specialists can help you survive and thrive in any conditions. We offer consulting services, equipment design, and survival training for all your extreme environment needs. HFY stared at the datapad in horror. The humans weren't just surviving, they were advertising. Keep playing, he ordered Krek. The next advertisement was even worse. Hello, universe. This is Dr. Sarah Chen from Hellworld Survival Solutions. Thanks to our recent breakthroughs in atmospheric processing and thermal management, we're now offering complete terraforming packages for Class X death worlds. Previous terraforming failures? No problem. Our team loves a challenge. The transmission included video footage that made HFY's 4 stomachs churn. Humans were working in environments that should have been instantly lethal, wearing armor that appeared to be crafted from the hides of indigenous predators. Behind them, massive industrial complexes stretched across the landscape, powered by captured storm systems and thermal vents. Sir, Krek said quietly, there's more. The final advertisement featured a human standing next to what was clearly a fully grown hellhound. The creature was wearing a collar with emotional support animal, written in galactic standard script. Looking for reliable security for your mining operations? The human asked casually while scratching behind the hellhound's ears. Our domesticated hellhounds provide unmatched protection and loyalty. Each one is fully trained and comes with a comprehensive care package. Warning: hellhounds may cause extreme fear in non-human species. Side effects include increased respect for human capabilities and occasional loss of bowel control. Sci-Fi realized he was hyperventilating. This has to be some kind of elaborate hoax. Humans can't possibly have accomplished all this in just 1 year. Dr. Vesera entered the office carrying her own collection of datapads and looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. Commander, I've been analyzing the long-range sensor data. The humans haven't just adapted to Kepler 438c. They've completely transformed it. She activated a holographic display showing before and after images of the planet. The difference was staggering. What had been a barren death world was now covered with sprawling complexes, atmospheric processing stations, and what appeared to be recreational facilities. This is impossible, Sci-Fi repeated, but his conviction was wavering. Evolution doesn't work this fast. Adaptation takes millennia. That's what I thought too, Dr. Vesara admitted. So I ran the calculations 17 times. The humans have somehow accelerated their adaptive responses by a factor of 10,000. Their children are already showing enhanced bone density and improved lung capacity. The adults are developing resistance to temperature extremes and enhanced coordination. How? I have no idea. It violates every principle of evolutionary biology. But the data doesn't lie. The humans are changing, and they're changing fast. Krek handed them another datapad. Sir, it gets worse. We've received formal contact requests from 3 different species asking about hiring human consultants for their own colonization projects. Sci-Fi looked at the requests. The Corvin Confederation wanted help establishing mining operations on a high-radiation world. The Zephyrian Collective was asking for assistance with an underwater colony on an ocean planet with caustic seas. The Mantari were requesting aid with a settlement in a system where the local star produced constant solar flares. They're all death worlds, he realized. Everyone is asking the humans to help them colonize death worlds. The humans have already accepted all 3 contracts, Krek added helpfully. Dr. Vesara pulled up another display showing shipping manifests. They're also exporting materials we've never seen before. Metals with impossible strength-to-weight ratios, atmospheric processors that can work in any environment, biological samples from creatures that shouldn't be capturable, let alone transportable. Where are they getting this technology? Sci-Fi demanded. They're making it, Dr. Vesara said simply, out of local materials using techniques we don't understand. The humans have turned survival into an industrial process. A new transmission arrived while they were talking. This one wasn't an advertisement. It was a formal diplomatic communication addressed to the Galactic Council. Greetings, Council members. Dr. Sarah Chen's voice was polite but confident. This is Dr. Chen representing the Provisional Government of Kepler 438c. We wanted to thank you for the excellent relocation opportunity. Our new world has provided exactly the kind of challenges our species needed to reach our full potential. Sci-Fi felt faint. The humans were thanking them. We're currently establishing trade relationships with several galactic civilizations and have begun accepting contracts for extreme environment consulting. We thought you should know as a courtesy that Kepler 438c is now officially open for business. The transmission included detailed technical specifications for services the humans were offering: atmosphere modification, predator domestication, thermal regulation systems, and something called hostile terrain recreational activities. They're offering to teach other species how to ride atmospheric storms, Dr. Vesara observed, as a recreational activity. Sir, Krek said nervously, what do we tell the council? Sci-Fi realized he was trapped. He could continue hiding the truth, but the humans were now actively communicating with other species. Their success would become public knowledge within months. Or he could admit that the plan to humble humanity had backfired spectacularly. We tell them the monitoring equipment is still experiencing technical difficulties, he decided. Buy us more time to figure out how to handle this situation. But privately, Sci-Fi was beginning to suspect that there was no way to handle the situation. The humans had done something that should have been impossible. They had taken the worst environment the galaxy could find and turned it into a thriving industrial center, and they were offering to help other species do the same thing. As reports continued to pour in from across the galaxy, one fact became increasingly clear. The human exile hadn't solved the human problem. It had made the problem much, much worse because now, Instead of one aggressive species causing trouble in civilized space, the galaxy had 50,000 humans who had proven they could survive anything, make friends with any predator, and turn any death world into a vacation resort. The humans weren't begging for rescue. They weren't learning humility. They were building an empire, and they were doing it with a cheerfulness that made the entire situation absolutely terrifying. 18 months after the human exile, Commander HFY was having the worst day of his career. The Galactic Council had discovered his cover-up about the monitoring equipment and was demanding immediate answers about the human situation. 3 different species had filed formal complaints about unauthorized terraforming activities disrupting their local ecosystems, and his morning coffee had been replaced with something the humans called espresso that was apparently strong enough to wake the dead. He was reviewing damage control strategies when every alarm in the station began screaming at once. "Sir!" Greg burst into his office, his usual nervous demeanor replaced by panic. "Unidentified vessel approaching the station." It just appeared on our sensors without any warning. HFY rushed to the command center, where the main display showed a ship unlike anything in the galactic databases. It was sleek and angular, built from materials that seemed to shift and shimmer in the starlight. Energy readings indicated it was powered by something that defied conventional physics. "Where did it come from?" HFY demanded. "Unknown, sir. It wasn't there, and then suddenly it was. No hyperspace signature, no approach vector. It just decloaked in the middle of our most secure zone." The ship was broadcasting on all frequencies now, transmitting identification codes and requesting permission to dock. The codes identified it as a diplomatic vessel from the Hellworld Federation, with a delegation requesting an audience with the Galactic Council. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "they're not actually requesting permission. They're being polite about it, but they're coming aboard whether we agree or not." The docking bay cameras showed the human delegation disembarking from their impossible ship. Dr. Sarah Chen led the group, looking remarkably well for someone who had spent over a year on a death world. She wore what appeared to be formal, diplomatic attire crafted from materials that sparkled like captured starlight. Behind her walked 2 other humans and something that made every alien in the command center simultaneously evacuate their various waste disposal systems. "Is that a hellhound?" someone whispered. It was indeed a hellhound, but not like any the galaxy had ever documented. This one was massive, easily 800 pounds of muscle and armor-like hide. Its acid-dripping fangs gleamed in the station's lighting. Most terrifying of all, it was wearing what appeared to be a formal collar decorated with gemstones, and it was wagging its tail. Dr. Chen describes it as her emotional support animal, the communications officer reported, his voice cracking with stress. The delegation made its way through the station with a confidence that bordered on the supernatural. Security personnel backed away from the hellhound, which responded to their fear by panting happily and occasionally pausing to sniff interesting smells. 20 minutes later, HFY found himself sitting across from Dr. Chen in the diplomatic conference room, trying very hard not to make eye contact with the hellhound that was sprawled on the floor like an oversized dog. "Dr. Chen," HFY began carefully, "this is quite unexpected. We weren't informed that humanity had developed space travel capabilities." Dr. Chen smiled politely. "Oh, we've developed lots of capabilities over the past year and a half. Space travel was actually one of the easier challenges. Fluffy here helped us understand the local physics." HFY glanced at the hellhound, which was now chewing on what appeared to be a stress ball someone had dropped. "Fluffy? She's very good at sensing dimensional fluctuations," Dr. Chen explained. "Hellhounds hunt by tracking prey through space-time distortions. Once we figured out how their sensory organs worked, building a dimensional drive was straightforward. You built a faster-than-light drive by studying a predator's hunting instincts? Well, we also had to figure out how to contain a small atmospheric storm for power generation. But yes, basically." Dr. Chen reached down to scratch behind Fluffy's ears. "She's such a good girl, aren't you, Fluffy?" The hellhound made a sound like a purring volcano and rolled over to have her belly rubbed. HFY felt reality shifting around him. "Dr. Chen, why are you here?" "To thank you, of course." Dr. Chen's enthusiasm was genuine and absolutely terrifying. "Commander, exiling us to Kepler 438c was the best thing that ever happened to humanity. We've learned so much, grown so much, accomplished things we never dreamed possible." She activated a portable display device that projected images around the conference room. The pictures showed impossible sights: human cities built inside active volcanoes, underwater colonies where humans swam alongside creatures that could dissolve metal with their touch, and vast industrial complexes that seemed to be powered by captured lightning. We've established successful colonies on 12 different death worlds now, Dr. Chen continued. Each one presents unique challenges that help us grow as a species. We've learned to breathe methane, survive in absolute zero temperatures, and communicate with sentient plasma beings. Sentient plasma beings? Oh yes, they're quite pleasant once you figure out how to avoid getting vaporized during conversation. They're actually excellent at sports. We taught them football. Zexhi's worldview crumbled a little more. You taught energy beings to play football. Interdimensional championship starts next month. You should come watch. We've got popcorn that won't kill most species. Dr. Chen's presentation continued with slides showing human children playing with creatures that belonged in nightmares, adults farming plants that grew in pure acid, and teenagers using tamed predators as transportation. But we're not here just to share vacation photos, Dr. Chen said, her tone becoming more businesslike. We're here to propose a formal business relationship with the Galactic Council. She handed Zexhi a data pad containing what appeared to be a professional contract proposal. The terms were reasonable, the language was diplomatic, and the implications were absolutely horrifying. Humanity would like to establish Hellworld Industries as the galaxy's premier extreme environment consulting service, Dr. Chen explained. We have the experience, the technology, and the enthusiasm to help other species succeed in hostile environments. The contract included testimonials from the 3 species that had already hired human consultants. The Corvin reported a 400% increase in mining efficiency on their radiation world. The Zephyrians had successfully established underwater cities that were actually profitable. The Mentari had learned to use solar flares as a renewable energy source. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, Dr. Chen noted, though we did have to include some warnings in our safety documentation. Zexhi reviewed the warning labels included in the contract. They ranged from may cause existential crisis in species with limited adaptability, to side effects include sudden urge to domesticate dangerous fauna, to caution, extended exposure to human optimism may result in attempting impossible tasks. Dr. Chen, Zexhi said slowly, what exactly are you asking for? Nothing unreasonable. Just formal recognition of human territorial claims on death worlds throughout the galaxy, trade agreements for our specialized services, and perhaps a small consulting fee for managing galactic terraforming projects. Fluffy chose that moment to play fetch with a council member's briefcase, which she returned slightly dissolved but intact. The briefcase's owner fainted. Oh, and we'd like to establish an embassy here on the station, Dr. Chen added. Fluffy gets lonely when she's away from other hellhounds for too long. Zexhi realized that the human exile hadn't solved anything. Instead of removing a dangerous species from galactic civilization, they had created something far worse, a species that could not only survive anything but actually enjoyed the challenge. Dr. Chen, what happens if the council refuses your proposal? Dr. Chen's smile remained pleasant, but something shifted in her eyes. Oh, I'm sure that won't be necessary. After all, we're very good at problem solving now. And we have so many friends throughout the galaxy. As if on cue, the station's communication system activated with messages from dozens of species requesting human assistance with various impossible projects, colony ships heading toward black holes, mining operations in stellar coronas, and research stations planning to study the interior of gas giants. You see, Dr. Chen explained, exile taught us something very important. When you can't go around a problem, when you can't negotiate your way out of it, when survival itself seems impossible, there's only one solution left. She stood up, and Fluffy immediately moved to her side, tail wagging. You go through it. You adapt, you overcome, you make friends with the monsters trying to eat you, and you turn the whole impossible situation into something better than what you had before. Dr. Chen headed toward the conference room door, then paused. The council has 48 hours to consider our proposal. After that, we'll assume you're not interested in a formal partnership and proceed with our expansion plans independently. What expansion plans? Zexhi asked, though he dreaded the answer. Well, we've identified approximately 200 uninhabitable worlds that would make excellent vacation resorts with just a little terraforming. and we've been in contact with several species about establishing extreme sports leagues. Apparently, racing through neutron star magnetic fields is quite popular among younger civilizations. Dr. Chen and her delegation left the station as suddenly as they had arrived. Their impossible ship vanishing into dimensional 5 years had passed since the human exile, and Commander Zexhai barely recognized the galaxy anymore. What had once been an orderly collection of civilized species following sensible safety protocols had become a chaotic playground where impossible things happened daily, and everyone seemed to think this was perfectly normal. Zexhai himself was a perfect example of how much things had changed. He now worked as a junior assistant in the human department of extreme tourism, writing safety warnings that basically amounted to, "Don't try this at home unless you're human." His current assignment was reviewing the liability waivers for the new swim with solar flares experience that humans were offering near the Centauri system. "Warning," he dictated to his recording device. "This activity may result in instant vaporization, dimensional displacement, or temporary conversion to plasma. Participants must sign 17 different waivers and receive approval from their species insurance providers. Humans are not responsible for any injuries, deaths, or accidental transcendence to higher dimensions." His supervisor, a cheerful human named Jake, who claimed to have once arm wrestled a black hole, reviewed the draft. "Looks good, Zex, but you forgot to mention the part about potential time travel side effects." "Time travel side effects?" "Oh yeah. Sometimes people get thrown back a few minutes when they hit the solar plasma just right. Nothing serious, but legal says we have to mention it." Zexhai added the time travel warning to his growing list and reflected on how his life had taken such a strange turn. After the Galactic Council had unanimously voted to accept humanity's partnership proposal, mainly because the alternative was watching humans terraform the entire galaxy without permission, he had been reassigned as a cultural liaison. The humans had been surprisingly gracious about the whole exile situation. In fact, they kept thanking the Council for giving them the best opportunity for growth in human history. This gratitude was somehow more terrifying than any threat could have been. "Hey, Zex," Jake called from his desk. "We've got a new project proposal from the Hellworld development team. Want to take a look?" Zexhai accepted the datapad with the resignation of someone who had seen too many impossible things become routine. The proposal was for establishing a colony inside a living star. Not near a star or orbiting a star, but actually inside the nuclear reaction itself. "This is impossible," Zexhai said automatically, though he no longer really believed his own protests. "That's what they said about the underwater lava cities," Jake replied, "and the ice skating rinks in absolute zero space, and the vacation resort built inside that collapsed dimension. But hey, humans love a challenge." The project timeline suggested the star colony would be completed within 8 months, including time for making friends with the local plasma entities and installing recreational facilities for visitors who can survive nuclear fusion temperatures. "Who exactly would visit a colony inside a star?" Zexhai asked. "Oh, you'd be surprised. The Thermalians have been asking about extreme heat experiences, and apparently some of the silicon-based species find nuclear reactions quite relaxing. Plus, we're partnering with those sentient energy beings I mentioned. They're opening a football stadium inside the star's core." Zexhai's species had once prided themselves on being logical, rational beings who made sensible decisions based on careful analysis. 5 years of working with humans had cured him of any attachment to logic or rationality. His communication device chimed with an incoming message from Dr. Sarah Chen, who was now officially the human ambassador to the Galactic Council, and unofficially the person who decided which impossible projects would be approved for galactic funding. "Zex, darling." Dr. Chen's voice was as cheerful as ever. "I hope you're well. Fluffy misses you. She still has that stress ball you dropped." The idea that an 800-pound, acid-dripping predator missed him was something Zexhai had learned not to think about too deeply. "I'm calling about the new colony ship. That's launching next week," Dr. Chen continued. "We're heading out to investigate Proxima X, that planet-sized storm system where matter exists in 11 different states simultaneously. The science team is very excited." Zexhai looked up the file on Proxima X. It was classified as absolutely uninhabitable by every galactic database. The planet existed in a state of constant dimensional flux, where the laws of physics changed every few minutes. Several unmanned probes had been sent to study it over the centuries. Most had simply vanished. Others had returned speaking ancient poetry in languages that didn't exist yet. Dr. Chen, HFY said carefully, that planet is considered completely impossible to explore, let alone colonize. I know. Isn't it wonderful? The challenge assessment team rates it as a Class 3 impossibility. We haven't tackled anything above Class X before. What's the colonization timeline? Oh, we're being conservative this time. 12 months for initial settlement, another 6 months for the recreational facilities. We're planning to offer multi-dimensional camping experiences, and maybe some reality surfing activities. HFY had learned that when humans described themselves as conservative, it usually meant they were only attempting 3 or 4 impossible things instead of their usual 7 or 8. The best part, Dr. Chen continued, is that the local inhabitants want to help. Apparently, they've been lonely for the past few million years. Local inhabitants? Sentient geometric shapes that exist in 17 dimensions simultaneously. They're quite friendly once you figure out how to shake hands with a hypercube. They've invited us to stay for their annual reality restructuring festival. The message ended with Dr. Chen's customary cheerfulness and a reminder that the colony ship's launch ceremony would include complimentary plasma cocktails and relatively safe tours of the ship's 11-dimensional engine room. HFY filed the report under approved. Humans will do it anyway, and moved on to reviewing the applications for next month's extreme vacation destination lottery. The winners would get to visit one of humanity's growing collection of impossible colonies. This month's destinations included a resort built inside a collapsing black hole where time moved backward on weekends, an underwater city in liquid methane where the local fish had been taught to perform Shakespeare, and a mountain climbing experience on a planet where gravity changed direction every hour. The applications came from species across the galaxy, and the waiting list was now over 3 years long. Apparently everyone wanted to experience the thrill of doing impossible things under human supervision. Jake, HFY called to his supervisor, I'm seeing applications from the Vraxian Confederation again. Didn't their last group of tourists end up adopting a family of quantum entities? Yeah, they're still sending us thank you cards. Apparently quantum entities make excellent pets once you teach them not to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously during dinner. HFY reviewed the Vraxian application. They were requesting a moderately impossible experience suitable for elderly tourists with limited reality tolerance. The humans had recommended a nice weekend trip to the cloud cities they had built inside gas giant atmospheres, where visitors could enjoy breathable methane air and gravity-defying architecture. The transformation of the galaxy hadn't happened overnight, but it had been relentless. Humans now managed terraforming operations on over 50 death worlds. They had established trade relationships with species that had previously been considered myths. They had turned 3 different cosmic anomalies into functioning vacation resorts. Most disturbingly, they had made it all look easy. The Galactic Council had tried to maintain some semblance of control by requiring humans to submit environmental impact reports for their projects. The reports were always filed promptly and were completely honest about the intended outcomes. Proposed changes to local ecosystem, complete restructuring of planetary atmosphere, domestication of all apex predators, establishment of recreational facilities in previously lethal environments, and possible befriending of local cosmic entities. Expected timeline, 6 to 8 months. Weather permitting. Risk assessment. Moderate chance of accidentally improving local conditions beyond original specifications. The reports were technically accurate, but they failed to capture the sheer absurdity of watching humans convince a living volcano to provide geothermal heating for a ski resort. HFY's communication device chimed again. This time the message was from the Galactic Council's Emergency Response Division. All stations, please be advised that humans have successfully established communication with the entity residing in the Omega Nebula. The entity has requested to join the Interdimensional Football League and has offered to host next season's championship game inside its consciousness. Please update all navigational charts to include the nebula's new status as a recreational zone. HFY updated his files and tried not to think about the philosophical implications of playing sports inside a cosmic entity's mind. As his shift ended, he paused to look out the observation deck at the bustling traffic around the station. Human ships moved between the docking bays with impossible efficiency.